Good morning, Micah. Something quite interesting I'd like the audience to know is that it is 7 a.m. for you and you woke up early for this interview because you have school right after, correct?
That is correct. Yep.
Nice. How old are you for perspective?
I'm 16.
Okay. And you have some very big wins to discuss for us. So I'll get straight into it. I saw some wins from you in the copywriting and freelancing campuses. Could you explain what they were about?
Yeah. So I used the knowledge from the copywriting campus and applied the systems of the freelancing campus to get my first clients. And I've made around $15,000 in 3 months doing that.
Wow. So, did you have any prior experience with copywriting before you joined the real world?
I've always been pretty solid at writing just in general, but in school they don't really teach you to monetize that skill very often. It's if you're a writer, you either write a book and hope to get big that way, which never happens, or become an English teacher, which I was not trying to do. Um, but I did take a couple marketing classes and I knew that I was interested in it prior. So that's what drew me to copywriting more from a marketing perspective.
Interesting. Okay. So, in terms of those marketing classes, how much you would you attribute them to you earning 15K compared to the real world? Did that make sense?
Uh, yeah, the real world gets all the cake. I mean, the marketing classes, it was a good start to pique my interest. I didn't really retain all that much information. I just knew it was something I was interested in. And then the real world really provided me with the knowledge and the systems so that I could progress and really start making money with my skill, even at a young age, which I didn't think was possible when I first started. I thought that was going to be a huge barrier, and it wasn't.
Right. I'm just wondering when you get on a call with clients and they ask for your age? Do they care?
I am very upfront about my age. They know exactly how old I am when they hop on. That's something I put in my cold outreach if I'm doing cold outreach DMs. I find it goes better if they know exactly what they're getting themselves into with me. I have it in my bio on Twitter, 16-year-old entrepreneur. Um, so I'm just very upfront about it. And that way I haven't received any backlash for it.
And how do your clients react knowing you're 16 years old and offering them such a service?
They, the three clients I have do not care at all. I mean, they, how I had to form it is that I give them a free discovery project so that they can see my work. And if they like it, we can progress. And they all like my work. So we progressed. It was all based on the results, not based on age or experience. If you can get results, it doesn't matter if you're 10 years old or 30 years old. Maybe it matters a little bit if you're 10, but if you're getting the same results, you're going to get money.
Right. Beautiful. 16 years old, still in high school, and already earned 15,000 in 3 months. Where do you see this heading for you in the future, considering how much you've already achieved?
Um, I want to keep scaling. My goal is to get to $10,000 a month, uh, which is like 120K a year income, which is insane for my age. I want to keep growing this and hopefully, be able to now start networking with high value individuals outside of my hometown, travel, and really just take care of my family. I want to retire my parents. I want to make it so that, no one around me has to work. That's my goal.
And you're already thinking that at 16. Again, quite insane. Very nice. Uh, what do your parents think about what you're doing, about your endeavor?
At first, they were both pretty wary of it. I was telling them about it, and they were basically saying, don't get your hopes up with this kind of thing, thinking it might be a scam. And I was like, I don't think it's a scam. So I decided to go with my gut, and it's worked out really well. now they support, after seeing the wins, after seeing the money coming in, they really do respect what I'm doing, and they support me. It's just the part of proving that it actually works.
Right.
That was the issue.
Right. So in terms of proving how it actually works, how did you acquire your first client?
I acquired my first client over Twitter, and I was sending out my cold DMs, and I got a response. I started talking with this guy, shooting ideas back and forth. He had an ebook. He wanted to market more, and I was like, "I'll write you a free landing page for it." That was my ticket in. I wrote the landing page. He loved it, and I was like, "I'd love to work with you further. We line up on these morals, these values, etc." And he ended up booking me for a project the next day. And in the first month of working with him, I made around in the first month working with him, I made around $1,000 just off landing page projects, and it really started to pick up after that.
When you said it started to pick up after that, do you mean in terms of income from the same client, or you got different clients because of that?
I got different clients. He gave me a testimonial, and I incorporated that into my cold outreach, and that's when other clients started rolling in. I started to get percentage cuts of sales because it would be coming through my funnels that I would create, as well as some upfront cash.
And now I'd like to know about you more personally. How different has your average day maybe changed since you've joined the real world compared to, yeah, how is it now compared to how it was before you joined?
Yeah. So, before I joined, I think it was coming out of the pandemic. And obviously, I live in the US, so we were all shut down and scared and all of that stuff, all that BS, honestly. But I wasn't using my time correctly. I was spending time scrolling on TikTok, like hours, like every other kid my age. I was playing video games. I would go out and mess around with friends and really just other degenerate activities. And since joining the real world, I've cut all those things out. I don't have any. I don't consume any short form content whatsoever. I don't engage in any other, you know, degenerate activities on the internet. We'll phrase it that way.
Yep.
And I use my every single second is, working towards a goal. It's a purpose. It's something that drives me. It's every single day is just, it's work, 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 but it's also so rewarding in the fact that I'm building something for myself, not someone else, not a teacher, not turning in an assignment for a teacher, not for a boss. I'm building my own brand, my own future, if that makes sense.
Right. So for people listening, they might think you're working so much. How do you avoid burnout in their eyes? Maybe you would call it something differently. Maybe you see it differently. So how would you answer that?
I simply take care of my mental health. When I feel burnt out, I go for a walk. I get 9 hours of sleep every single night. I eat healthy. I exercise daily. Physical fitness is something that's preached heavily in the real world. And it's something that I've always been an athlete, so that's never been an issue. But it's something that I've made sure to keep up. So physical fitness daily, going for walks, getting enough sleep. And honestly, you don't experience mental burnout when you're working for you as much. When you're working for someone else, right? That's when, and you don't align with their message and their goals, and you're only working for their benefit. That's when the burnout happens. When you start seeing these small wins and then these bigger wins come in, right? Then it's just like it lights a fire under you. You just want to keep going and going and going.
Right, agreed. And it was similar with me when I was trying something to build something of my own. If I purely worked without doing anything else, then yes, I did experience burnout. But when I actually started taking care of my mental health, as you were saying, making sure
Yeah.
I'm getting the required, like the things that are required for a human, like socialization
Hmm.
with people, maybe some time to, maybe you go for a walk. I prefer going to the gym and then to a sauna just to ease off a little bit. And since then, I haven't had any burnout. It's just making sure there's technically you could call it a balance, but I'm still working most of the time. It's just at the right times I am also decompressing. So I guess yeah, listening to your body in that way. I I guess you understand. I just don't know how to explain to the listener as well.
I completely understand. I think a good way to break it down is it's 90% work and then the other 10% is taking care of your mind so that you can work more,
Right.
if that makes sense.
Exactly. That's a good way to put it. Okay. Now, when you were initially hearing about the real world, what actually decided you to take that leap, quote unquote, to actually join?
Yeah, so when I heard about the real world, it was still Hustlers University. Um, the leap I took, honestly, was finding out that it was $50. One is like I wasn't working at the time, but I still had some money saved up and I could afford that. I had spent more on like meals.
Mhm.
So I was like $50 a month, that's nothing. And I might as well try it out. And then if not, I can always back out of it. But I got so much value just the second I joined, It's just the way that the professors talk really engages the students and motivates the students. And then they teach you about discipline and fitness and all these baseline things that make it so important in the future when you're actually trying to build your brand and whatever it is. And I heard about the real world from Andrew Tate or Hustlers University from Andrew Tate, watching his podcast, I saw his short form videos back when I was, scrolling on TikTok all day because that man took over TikTok crazily. Um, that's how I heard about it. And I really resonated with a lot of the things that he would say, um, especially about, masculinity, about being proud of yourself, about taking responsibility, about not doing drugs, about, eliminating low quality people from your life. And I resonated with those messages. And I thought, well, he's saying all the right things and giving me good advice in this area of my life. Why would his program be any different? So then I joined and I've not regretted it for a second.
Of course, because 15,000 in 3 months would be hard to regret, huh?
That is hard to regret. That's big money.
Yep. Great. Now, what would you say was the biggest challenge you faced when first starting out with copywriting?
Cold outreach. I started doing cold outreach emails, and I mean, it was just you'd spend like 2 to 4 hours a day sending out these emails and not getting a response or getting no's. And it wasn't the way that I wanted to build my brand at first. So that's when I took my skills from the copywriting campus over to the freelancing campus to really focus on building my brand, building an audience, being an authentic personality, um, talking to people, networking with people instead of just sending out cold emails to people. It wasn't as fulfilling, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So that was the biggest challenge, honestly. And the fact that in my first trading account, I blew like $1,000, but that was, those were the challenges.
Fair. So, in terms of trading, was that through the stocks campus in the real world, or was that before going through it?
Yeah, that was in the stocks campus in the real world. And the only reason that account got blown is all on me. I didn't adhere to the system. I didn't adhere to the signals. And I mean, it was my fault. I gambled. I took revenge trades. I played with the markets on volatile events and I got what I deserved, honestly. Learned from it, not finding a lot more success with it with the second time around.
Interesting. Why did you decide to try out the stocks campus as well?
Well, because you have the income, right? And then you have the money. But if the money stays stagnant, right? I mean, Professor Arno has talked about this in his finance area. If the money stays stagnant, inflation's going up at the rate it's going, then the money's going to become worth less. So you want to try and grow the money at the same rate as inflation. And with the volatile markets, just blind investments right now probably isn't going to work out, especially with the economic standpoint of the United States, banks collapsing, etc. So I got into the stocks campus, and I started with, I think I had $3,000 at that point. I started with 1,000, blew the 1,000, and I've grown the other 2,000 to around 5K. So it's a $1,000 loss, $3,000 gain, so $2,000 gain total. So not bad.
In what time span was this? When did you start trading stocks?
I started trading stocks probably 2 months before I got my first client, so 5 months ago. The first 2 months is when I blew my account, and then the next 3 months is when I gained the other $3,000.
So taking it slow, making sure to acquire knowledge, implementing lessons, I'm guessing, learning from mistakes.
Absolutely.
That kind of thing. Good. Okay. I like it. So you're doing quite a lot for a 16-year-old. Copywriting, trading, building your brand. Where do you think that mindset came from?
That's a great question, man. I've been working, honestly, for a long time. I always felt good selling stuff to other people and getting money in return. Like, even if I was like 6 years old, I'd take my mom's soap that she hadn't opened, and I'd go sell it to the neighbors, actually, which is a story. And it's probably just because I was a cute kid and they'd give me money for it. But it felt good. And then I started working at my dad's company, and he didn't pay me minimum wage or anything, but we'd go to GameStop after, and that would be my reward for helping out. And that's where the mindset really grew. It was just like, I knew I wanted to make money, and I liked the things that money could get me. And then further on, it became status, right? Whereas like I wanted to become an individual that can weather storms and can be trusted as a problem solver. So that's where that mindset really came from. And a lot of it came from the real world professors talking about their lifestyles, how their success has shaped them, and then how Andrew Tate talks about how his success has shaped his life, how he went from a much, much, much harder start than me all the way to where he is. And I was like, so if he went from all the way down there to all the way up there, and I'm starting somewhere in the middle, I have no excuse. So that's where the mindset came from. I've always wanted to provide for my family. I love providing for people. I love being able to protect people. I want to retire my parents. That became a big goal.
Interesting. And what was your plan before you joined the real world in that case? Because, I mean, the mindset was there, it looks like, before. So, what were you planning to do?
Yeah.
Before you found this?
School system, right? They kind of, there's a set track laid out for you. You get good grades, you get into a good college. From that good college, you get a relatively nice paying job, and then you work your way up the corporate ladder and invest in the stock market. That was the plan because it was the only plan that I had. The only plan that I was ever given. That is no longer the plan at all. It was really refreshing and probably the best thing for me to see other ways of generating income, wealth creation, all those things that all those things that wouldn't be possible if I was stuck in New York at a 9 to 5 job, get under some boss that I hated, half depressed the whole time. So um, that's where the shift was, is, it was the school system and how they wanted me to go versus how I wanted to go after I figured out there's another way.
So, what were the three biggest lessons you learned in your time within the real world?
The three biggest lessons. A lot of it is very much so baseline. It's not, the fundamentals are what you build upon to create your future, right? So physical fitness and its importance in business, how a good physique portrays confidence, portrays capability, being able to fight, all those things that are very important for a man to be able to do, and the status that comes with having a good physique in that way. Self accountability, I used to blame others a lot for stuff that happened around me, and a big shift is when I started just saying, what could I have done differently to make sure that didn't happen? And then if I thought about it, it's like, well, there's always something I could have done, right? So self accountability and making the best choice possible, no matter what situation you're in, even if it's a shitty situation, what's the best choice? What's the best move to make? That's a big one. And then another one, self-hypnosis. I define that as the way you talk about yourself, talk about the world, talk about your future, because the way you speak and the way you talk about what you're doing completely frames how hard you're going to try, how hard you're going to work. It's also going to, it will change, what wins come your way. You're going to get more progress if you're talking about yourself as like, I will become this, not I'm going to try to become this. There's that iron will there to make your life into the life that you want. So to recap it, I'd say physical fitness, self-accountability, everything's my fault, and then self-hypnosis, using my words to curate the world around me.
Right. Third point is a big one, and it's something that's not mentioned that often during the interviews I do. So I'd like to add on to it by saying how you speak to yourself, about yourself, and to other people. It all goes into your subconscious mind. Like, you don't realize as you're speaking it that you are, programming yourself in the way you speak. So in your case, you've been speaking positively about yourself, and look at what you've achieved. And then there are other people who are also maybe not self-accountable and talking bad about themselves, and then they stay in that position for the rest of their lives. So
exactly,
definitely
man.
A big point.
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head there. 100%.
Okay. And now I'm very happy with how this interview went. So for my final question, for people who are unsure about joining the real world, they're still on the fence. They might have listened to this interview and they still think, well, what if it's a scam, right? So what advice would you have to them?
It's a pretty crappy scam for $50. Just backtrack on the logic. A man who has close to $1 billion probably as his net worth does not need your $50. These people who have made millions of dollars as their professors do not need your $50. They're there to help you, and they're doing this to give back. As that's what I would say. I mean, $50. I mean, everybody here has spent more than that on a meal. Probably more than that, going shopping. I would suggest take that $50, eat at home, and then learn a skill that's going to change your life.
Beautifully put.
That's what I would say. If people think it's a scam at this point, with all these wins and all these testimonials from students who are doing amazing things, I mean, I meet another student of the real world in my Twitter space every other day, and they're killing it. So I mean, I'm currently partnering with another copywriter who's from the real world. His name's Nathan. He's killing it too, and he's from Ireland. And I would have never met him if it wasn't for the real world. And we're both working on this copywriting project together. So it's been absolutely amazing. I'd say if people are still skeptical at this point, they're just trying to talk themselves out of it. And you can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved.
Again, I'm very surprised by your mindset at 16, Micah. Really happy with this interview. Thank you for your time. I look forward to doing a follow-up with you to see in another 3 months how things have scaled for you then. And
me too.
For people who want to find out more about you or contact you, where can they do so?
So if you want to contact me or find me, I'm on Twitter at Micah J Copy. You spell my name MICAHJCOPY on Twitter. That's where I talk about my story. I share a lot of insights that I've learned from the real world, from talking to a lot of different people, and I'm sharing my journey. I've shared all of my struggles, all the things I've overcame. I'm very transparent on there. And, hit me in the DMs if you see this interview. I'd love to talk.
Great. So yeah, we'll add that to the description of the video. And Micah, wish you all the best and look forward to doing that follow-up.
I look forward to it too, man.